What's going on, everybody? It's ShamefulPenguin here, back with another video. Today we're going to be going over 5 builds I'm going to be recommending for league starts for Path of Exile's 3.12 Heist. These builds are tested by many others and are popular builds that have been in the meta for quite a while, and they've all haven't been really nerfed by patch notes, except for one build you're going to see. All these builds have been tested. I am leaving links to either the video or a form for how to make this build and how to follow it. These builds are excellent for new players, and I'm going to be talking about the benefits of playing each one. So if you're looking for specific content, either for clearing or bossing, a hybrid, or just a fun play style, I'm going to be recommending each one to you and telling you what each build's about, so stay tuned. The first build I'm going to be recommending you guys is the Bleedbow Gladiator. I created this build myself. It's using split arrow and puncture. Puncture for the single target, split arrow for the map clearing and mobbing. And this build is crazy good at doing all content and easy leveling. I really love this build. I love the pops of this build. I like that boss clearing. This was my actual Awakener character that I would clear Awakener pretty easy, because Salem allows us to clear endgame content with little stress. So this build is good for new players. It's not really that gear dependent, so I'm going to be recommending this if you struggle with doing all the content in the game, or feel like you made a build and it's lacking, so you have to create another build. This build can do all the content, all of it easily, so I'm going to be telling all the newer players to look at this build and try it out and try to complete all content in the game with it if that's their goal for this league. This build uses split arrow other than rain of arrows, because it does it's a better feeling play style, and I believe it does more DPS to the map, so we can clear T16s very easily. Split arrow is using chain and fork just so it could like reach out and kill way more mobs than usual. That's why you see so many explosions, because it's hitting every enemy in a giant cone shape. So this build is super good. I recommend it to pretty much anyone that's starting out the game, or anyone that hasn't tried out a bleed ailment build. It's super fun, and I can't recommend it enough. The next build I'm going to be recommending is Enki's Arc Witch. This build is super solid at mapping and can complete all content, although it's not as strong at bossing as other builds I'm going to be recommending. This build is super easy to level. It's super simple in itself. It's friendly to solo self-found. It can be hardcore viable with a little more defensive benefits, and this build can do all content. And it's been done numerous times through numerous leagues. This build has made it through so many patches with ups and downs, buffs and nerfs, but this build is really strong still, and it's really, actually, the appealing factor is that it's fun and fast. You don't really have to think that much. You don't have to activate or learn too much. You're just like a lightning user. You run around the map, you zap one guy, and it chains to multiple enemies, and they all die. That's where this build is appealing. I recommend this to newer players who don't want to learn too many mechanics and can just focus on making their one skill as powerful as possible. There is no video, there's just a guide to this video, so make sure you click that link down below and take a read on the guide. There's so many different users for this build, and there's so many people that use this build every single league, so it's been everyone has a lot of knowledge on this build, and you can ask others for help on the forum, because there's tons of people always on this forum for this build guide. So this build is super solid, new player friendly, solo self-found friendly, and overall a really fun build. The third build on the list is Esoro's Blade Vortex Chieftain, or as I like to call it, the Beeftain. This build is crazy thick, huge life pool, super fast, powerful. It just kills everything. It can do all endgame content. It's easy leveler. I don't know how else to sell this to you guys. This is a really good all-arounder. I would compare this to my Bleedbow Gladiator in terms, but this build is more of a in-your-face kind of build, so you are more prone to getting hit, but you have more defensive benefits than my Gladiator. So it's just, do you prefer playing a ranged, beefy endgame content or in-your-face? They both have explosions. This build has a little bit more of an explosive manner where it could chain to more enemies. This build has a really fun play style. Blade Vortex is a great skill, and if you have not used it before, I recommend highly using it. It's super fun. It's a unique skill where you cast blades that swirl around you for a certain amount of time. Anything you touch, you do massive damage to. So I highly recommend trying it out if you have not. This is a really good build for new players. Esoro has a in-depth video guide on this video, so I recommend checking him out. He does many great guides for Path of Exile, but his Blade Vortex Chieftain is very detailed, so check that out if you're interested in the build. The fourth build I'm going to be recommending is the Toxic Rain Miner. Miners are really good at bossing, so Toxic Rain just makes that even better, because Toxic Rain, when you cast so many of the spores on top of each other, all the damage is stacking. So this build is probably one of the best builds at bossing in my opinion. It is definitely far superior than any other build at bossing on this list. So if you are interested in a bosser, I highly recommend checking out Toxic Rain Miner. I left the form link down below in my description, so check that out. The way miners work are you set down mines, and then you have a detonate button, and then you detonate them all at once, so you can stack dozens of mines on top of each other before the boss spawns. Wait for him to spawn, and then you click it, all of them activate, and many times you can just watch the boss get one-shotted. The videos you're seeing are just some endgame content being done, pretty simple with miner. It's a really safe play style, because you can just set the mines, detonate them, walk around, make sure you dodge all the attacks, and it's really easy for early game content because you don't have to worry about elemental reflect on your build. So they're really excellent at just safe play style and crazy high boss DPS. The last build I'm going to be recommending on my list is my own Volatile dead Spellslinger. This build, I know it got nerfed. Many of you are going to say the build is dead. It really isn't dead. It didn't get nerfed as hard as I really thought it was going to be. But it did get a nerf, so it is going to be a little bit less powerful than before, but I believe that its power level is already crazy high, and its potential on leveling quick, getting you out, finishing the early game super speedy, doing all end game content, you're still going to be able to do all of that just as well. So I don't think this build really got hurt that bad. The only thing I'm going to bring up is that the mana reservation is going to be a little bit different, so I'm going to have to do the math on it and change it up a little bit, because we might not be able to reserve every single Spellslinger we had before with all our links. So I'm going to be making some changes probably the day before the new league comes out. So make sure if you're doing this build on Heist that you just keep updated on my PoE forum, because I'm going to be updating it there. My forum actually has the life version of this build. It doesn't have the endgame low life variant of this build. I have recommended the low life endgame variant of different builds before, so check my other videos on this. But on the forum, it's a life variant. It's doable in solo self-found and hardcore. You have a lot of life, a lot of damage, and a lot of places to upgrade the gear I have on mine, because I just wanted to make a build and just display how much damage this build can do with pretty much no gear. I did all endgame content with very budget gear, and so I believe that if you guys put a little bit of effort into your gear, you guys can do all endgame content no problem. So I highly recommend this build to anyone who is thinking or hasn't tried Volatile dead Spellslinger, because you can just, once you get Spellslinger, and then you can stock it in Volatile dead and Desecrate onto your build when you're leveling, it's just a breeze throughout the rest of the game. It's kind of a joke how fast you can clear everything. So go ahead and check the other videos in the build guide I posted down below for this build, and you guys will enjoy this build as much as I did. That's it for the video. I hope one of these builds piqued your interest. These 5 builds are strong. I know they work, and they have really well written guides on each one of them. So if one of them piqued your interest, make sure you go down in my description, click the link, and read on about it or watch the video about it, and hopefully you get a better understanding of each build. This video was made to just show you guys little sneak peeks of each build. It wasn't made for an in-depth guide, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you guys are starting for your doing for your league start on PoE Heist. I'm really interested to see what you guys are playing, and if you have like any POBs or anything that you've made that you need help with or you're confused about, make sure you leave a comment down below, post your POB. I take looks at them all the time, so I can try to help you out there. And yeah, thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you have a really great league start, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Bye.